Welcome to an AP Human Geography video on changes as a result of the world economy. So let's get started. So where are the jobs happening? Jobs bring money to a country and that increases the economy. Well, jobs change in certain places because of processes like outsourcing, offshoring, and economic restructuring. Outsourcing is where a company hires a third-party group, maybe another company, to handle a specific task. This could be to manufacture something or collect something. And then they're going to deliver it to this company. The company will pay them, and then the company who received the product will do whatever the heck they want to do with it. Then there's offshoring, which is a company relocates a part of its operation to another location. It's still part of that company. It's still under the name, still under the contract, still has the same goal. And other stuff. However, it's in a different place across borders. A good example of this is call centers in India, Mexico, the Philippines, places outside America. And yeah, that's offshoring for you, and outsourcing as well. And they all do this to save money because it's cheaper there. They're doing this primarily in industrial countries where the costs to do this are lower. Then there's economic restructuring, which is the transfer of an economy from the industrial sector to the service sector, basically from the secondary sector to the primary sector, if you remember that from 7.2. And we see American jobs for call centers decrease, and any job in MDCs decrease because of economic restructuring, because jobs in LDCs are increasing. Yay! Cool, cool, cool. Because they're hiring these services in LDCs because it's cheaper. These companies in MDCs are saving money by doing this. Because of that, we see some effects. So some effects in the LDCs are emergence of the middle class. People are getting jobs, people are getting money. There's urbanization. Call centers aren't going to be in those rural towns and where farming is popular. And then we see an increased gross national income as more people have an income. And we see more development because the country's getting money. Their economy is growing. They can afford things like infrastructure. Now let's get into new manufacturing zones in the periphery. So the periphery is developing. Crazy, I know. There's free trade zones, export processing zones, and special economic zones. Let's get into all these individually. So starting with free trade zones, these are areas where goods can be manufactured, handled, and distributed without tariffs or a customs duty, which a customs duty is like a tax on a good. Then there's export processing zones, which are areas that promote exports and encourage economic growth with ways like lower or no taxes. And there could be other incentives that get people to, export their stuff here. And then there's special economic zones, which are trade and business laws that are different from the rest of the countries. They're different in this region. They're unique, I guess. And so, yeah. Now, special economic zones, we got a little bit of an operation going on. They stop uneven development, and they increase economic activity in less developed country. This is why governments would try to promote them or implement them in certain areas, because they're like, all right, this place is not that developed. Let's put in a special economic zone to raise the development, raise the economy, and try to balance out that economic development. Because you remember, in centrifugal and centripetal forces, uneven development is a centripetal force, not centripetal, a centrifugal force. It's bad. It doesn't unify the people. And we can see these in China. They're putting in special economic zones as well. And we can see this primarily on the coastlines or on the borders where interaction is easy and encouraged. And that's where the people are. That's where the money is. And that kind of thing. Easy access. And yeah, that's where they're located in China. Now, there's also been an increase and change in the International Division of Labor, which is the shift of the secondary sector from the more developed countries to the less developed countries due to its low cost of production and lower wages of labor. So the more developed countries are putting in jobs in the tertiary sector, while those less developed countries are decreasing the amount of jobs in that primary sector and moving into the secondary sector, aka the industrial sector. So some causes of this, that's why it's happening, is increased interaction among the states. We can talk to them now. Crazy, I know. There's globalization. Companies are now international. Economic interdependence. If the economy fails in one country, it's gonna fail in the other. And then there's the dependence theory. The dependency theory. I said dependence theory, didn't I? So yeah, that's happening as well. The core buys things from the secondary, and then, not the secondary, from the periphery, and the periphery buys things from the core, and it's just that they're all dependent on one each other. And we can see this with the made in China. China is technically an industrializing country, and the things that are produced in China, which is from the secondary sector, has that made in China thing. And that's why you see so much made in China stuff on your goods. And then, of course, there's some changes to the cultural landscapes like this, like special economic zones may have ports and stuff more as well. And what about changes to the economic landscape? Well, there's Fordism, which is basically the assembly line. People are doing the same tasks over and over again. It's repetitive. People do this to save costs. And there's a lower need for high-skilled workers because they're not doing multiple things at once. They're just doing the same thing over and over again. And this produces usually high-quality goods and goods that are similar to one another. Then there's post-Fordism, which is kind of the same thing but with machines. So the machines are replacing the humans as well. And this can be expensive, I know, but this will save money over time instead of paying people wages. And the use of machines instead of humans is called the substitution principle. Then there's the multiplier effect, which is when one opportunity creates a multitude of economic opportunities. Let's look at an example with this. Let's say you're opening up a restaurant in Oklahoma. You open it in Payne, and then you move a location to Creek, then Lincoln, then Logan. And since they're doing well, you're going to move them outwards to the rest of Oklahoma, and then soon across the United States. More jobs are being opened up for roles like servers, cooks, and managers. And yeah, more jobs are there, more people are getting jobs, and all the cool economy stuff that stonks. So yeah, pretty cool. And then we have economies of scale. So this is where the cost of production is lower while output is higher. So this could be due to things like machines that can have a high output, but they're not that expensive over time. They can be expensive to implement, yes, but the outcomes of it are pretty good compared to human labor. I mean, humans have to take breaks and stuff, and machines, they don't really have to take breaks unless they're overheating. Then there's agglomeration, which is the collection of similar businesses in an area that may share infrastructure, labor, techniques, and collaboration. A good example of this is the Silicon Valley. We see a lot of tech businesses here. So they share roads. They may invest in the same thing. They get people from Berkeley for jobs and that sort of thing as well. So they're pretty similar to one another. And then there's just-in-time delivery, which is the concept of receiving parts and materials right as they are needed. And yeah, there could be some drawbacks to this, but there's some good things to it, like reduces the inventory costs, and there saves time in storage. You don't have to fill up that freezer until you need the food to sell it. And then there's a possible risk that you can get them late, and production can fall up behind, and you can lose money. And then there's growth poles, our final concept in the video, which is a cluster of highly innovative, productive, and technologically advanced areas stirring and diffusing economic growth. We see this with the Silicon Valley. We see money being created in the Silicon Valley. We see Apple and Google here, Oracle, that kind of thing as well. There's money there, and the government likes this because they're getting money. The country's developing. They can buy things. The U.S. is #1 in imports, and we have the Silicon Valley. We have a bunch of technology. We have a bunch of growth poles as well. So they might influence where companies locate through higher taxes and in areas without growth poles. And they like businesses, go to these growth poles so we can increase our economy even more. And the economy will increase because of that. And that's the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe and like the video. This videos don't take me just 2 minutes to make. I put time and effort into these. So please subscribe and like the video. Join my Discord server. The link's in the description down below. Leave a comment with your criticism. I love criticism. I got nothing else for y'all besides more APHUG and geography videos if you want to go check those out. So adios.